Hey everybody, welcome to Tech4Good Live. Our second episode in this brave new online world of the Tech4Good Awards, where we've gone all virtual. I'm Mark Walker from AbilityNet. I'm the host of the show, and I've got some great guests for you today, who we're going to be meeting and talking about, particularly the Young People's Award, which is an award we've had in the Tech4Good Awards for many years. We've got some great stories of young people doing incredible things to help make the world a better place using technology. And I've also joined by Ian, who isn't a young person. For those of you who can see the screen, he's from BT. he's our connection to BT. So we're going to be talking about the Young People's Award, and in particular, I think we're going to be focusing on not just the great stories that you'll hear today, but also how to win. So that if you're thinking about entering, if this isn't a topic of interest to you, if you're a young person with a great idea and some invention or other project that you've been working on, would encourage you to stick that in and tell us about your idea and find out more about what people are doing out there, and also what it is about a winning entry that we think we're looking for. And you'll hear from some finalists and winners about their version of what they think made their idea stand out and their top tips for you. So a quick recap: the Tech4Good Awards are open now. You can nominate anybody you like, any business, community, charity, hospital, school, anybody can enter. There are 8 categories, of which the Young Pioneer Award is one. There's health and education and accessibility. And we've been running this is the 10th year. So we've been running this for some time. So we've got some amazing stories in the back catalogue about the ways that technology can be used to make the world a better place. And really the point of what we do is to make sure that as many people as possible hear those positive stories and learn how you can use technology for good. So without further ado, I'm going to get our guests to introduce themselves. I'm going to start with you, Atticus. Can you tell us who you are and just a brief intro about what you're doing?
So my connection with Tech4Good was I was awarded with 3 others the Young Pioneers Award in 2018. We created a water saving device which you fitted on the spout of a tap, and it used a vibration sensor to sense water running through the spout of the tap. And sort of the good side of it was that it prevented people with memory problems such as dyslexia, dementia, Alzheimer's, etc., from flooding their house and wasting water.
And this sounds like something that might have been based around experience of somebody in the group. Was it? What made you realise that would be needed?
It was. I'm dyslexic, and it affects my short-term memory quite severely. And I was at my friend's house, and I went to the bathroom, and then when I came back, the bathroom basically was flooded because I had forgotten to turn the tap on.
Right.
And it happened. I actually, in fact, have done this twice at this one poor friend's house. But yes, we were looking at ways to save water. So I brought this idea to the group and proposed that memory issues such as dyslexia are directly related in this flooding and wastage of water.
Right. And so that was back in 2018. And you say there was a group of you. Were you friends or, through school or some other connection?
Well, one of the members, Eli, I had known for some years. I used to go to a group with him when I was quite little. His brother was in the group, and they knew somebody that was into programming and engineering, and we started it through a competition called First Lego League, in which it's a robotics competition, and one part of it is that you have to create a product around a certain world issue, and naturally the theme for this year, or the year that we did it, was water wastage.
Right. And so you worked on the invention together, from different angles, and created a prototype. You got as far as actually this getting to the market, didn't you? Your product.
Well, we signed a license agreement with an independent water company, and they put it into production, but it didn't reach the market because there were some issues in the development around the battery.
Right.
But we had created a prototype that worked practically, and apart from the battery, the product could have been implemented into a home environment.
Cool. So, from the point of view of your group, what would you say you learned from the experience? I mean, in your particular case, and also what the group were doing as a group. What do you take away from that experience?
Well, I think I mean I'm a musician personally, and the confidence that I got from it, the ability to network, the ability to work in a professional environment and to understand the dialogue that comes with that was sort of gained, was an unteachable kind of experience.
Mm.
I think that if every field that the members of our group may eventually go, we all were um, heavily helped by this experience.
Great. And what about the experience of Tech for Good? What, if you were looking back now, was it, exciting, different, unusual? Do you have any idea what to expect when you joined in with it?
It was, I mean, I had not really been involved in things like it, and it was very exciting when we did it, and we started it, you know, putting our application in, thinking that, it was whatever and what would happen, but it ended up that we were we were nominated, and we were really excited for this, and it was a wonderful experience to go there and sort of meet people in the industry and meet other groups, and I think we learned a great deal from the whole Tech for Good experience, certainly.
Great. I've got a question here, actually. Somebody on Facebook is saying, was the idea also for using it with older people, that you've obviously mentioned different usages of it?
Oh yeah, certainly. Alzheimer's and dementia, we actually, if I'm not wrong, we took the idea to a an Alzheimer's society, and they liked the idea. The the relationship between the elderly was integral to our sort of design process of this, and we tried to make the product as kind of practical and easy to use as possible, because we knew that many of the people that would use it might not necessarily be completely tech savvy, and we wanted it to be sort of as implementable in the market as possible.
Great. Cool. Well, congratulations. And obviously we're going to get back to you in a little while. I'm going to meet the others first, and then we'll come back and find out some more about your top tips for how to win, and anybody listening and who thinks that they might be the right person. So maybe can I speak to Ian? Hi, Ian.
Hi there.
Hi. Can you tell us about what your role is at BT? I mean, we've already heard from one winner for previous years, and before we get on to the others, let's put it a bit of context to BT. What is the stuff that you're looking for with the Young Pioneer Award?
Yeah, so my role at BT is Tech for Good manager. So essentially, I work with all parts of BT to help implement tech that either has a societal impact, or, for example, can help customers that we have reduce their carbon. So I'm just about to have a cat come and attack me. And I think what we're always looking for in the Young Pioneer is, first of all, just really simple solutions to what are often quite complicated ideas. And what we're always most keen to see is just how people are sort of really picking a problem, seeing how technology can solve it, and then applying that. And what Atticus was just describing is a perfect example of that. We're not necessarily also looking for things that are fully fledged ideas as well. That we can accept entries which have more than just a drawing on a piece of paper, but at least some thinking into how it could work. You don't need to have made a prototype necessarily. I think it's really just getting those initial ideas down, thinking beyond just like what a drawing might be on a piece of paper. But that's the starting point for any of these entries. So that's the key thing for us.
Right, and in terms of BT's broader picture, this fits into other work that you do around young people and skills and so on. I know that's a big program of activity ongoing.
Yeah, that's right. So our work in the Tech for Good Awards here is also part of what we call our Skills for Tomorrow activities. So this is a whole suite of online digital skills supports that we have for a wide variety of people across the UK. So there's content on there, for example, for teachers to teach the computing curriculum in school. We have content on there for people who are just new to digital. So content from Learn My Way, which is built by the Good Things Foundation. And we've got content from Google, LinkedIn. So even if you kind of want to learn, for example, how to run a online show like this, there's that kind of content on there as well. And I think one of the things that we love about the Tech for Good Awards, and particularly Young Pioneers, is the sense of what the finalists and entrants are all showing is, what is possible with digital skills and why digital skills are so important. And I think, the stories we hear from all the previous finalists and winners today is just acts as that inspiration to hopefully other young children, but actually in reality, one of the highlights of the awards for anyone, I think, is the Young Pioneers, in the sense of just the inspirational element of all the stories we're going to hear this afternoon. Even just shows you what is really possible.
Yeah, great, thank you. Well, we'll come back at the end and talk a little bit about how what winners can get, because there's obviously some support available from BT and the rest of the Tech for Good network. But what I want to do now is meet Mihika, who's last year's winner.
Hi.
Hi, Mihika. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Good. First thing to say, happy birthday for yesterday.
Thanks.
So, Mihika, tell us a little bit about your entry last year. Great invention that you brought to the awards.
So my prototype was the Smart Stick, and it's for visually impaired people so that they can be independent and do things that they couldn't have.
Great. And where did the idea come from?
So my mom was helping a blind lady cross the road, but my mom didn't see a step, so the blind lady nearly tripped over. So I got upset and I thought, what could I do to help?
Great. So you wanted to try and help that person. And tell us a bit about the technology that was involved, because it had some good ideas built into it, didn't it?
Yeah, there's loads of features, but the main ones are the ultrasonic sensor that detects any obstacles, and the water sensor that detects puddles, and there's a Bluetooth connection to help navigate using the mobile GPS system with right and left vibrators with audio instructions.
Would need to have, built into the stick.
Yeah.
And I believe what you've been doing since then is some more research with BT. Can you tell us what you've been doing?
I have received support from BT since winning the award to do research with the RNIB on the market potential for the Smart Stick.
Great. And that's involved doing some testing, I think, as well, hasn't it? Yeah, great. So, I mean, that's really taken your idea onto a whole new level, I guess. But you actually had a prototype. You had made it already. It's interesting to mention that, because it wasn't like an idea, as we were saying. It's not just an idea sketched on paper. Actually, you had a thing that was through a university, I think you were working with, wasn't it?
It was UCL, University College London. They helped me build a prototype in 2017.
Great. Well, it sounds great. And what's your sort of thoughts about being part of Tech for Good? Is it a good thing?
Yeah, I think it's really good because it helped boost my confidence, and I got feedback on my idea, which was really nice because I could improve what I'd thought.
Yeah, cool. And also, we had you on stage at our event in December with your brother Arnav, and so it's, a chance to show the rest of the world and talk to other people and connect, isn't it? I think that the whole networking thing is always so good, and we love telling your stories to other people to get them involved in trying new things. Great. Well, we'll come back to you in a moment. I think Freddie is there. Hi, Freddie.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
So tell us, Freddie, where do you fit into the Tech for Good story? What's your input?
So I was a Tech for Good finalist last year.
Great. And what was your entry?
So I created a project called DoorPie, which was a facial recognition door entry system and complete home monitoring system for the elderly.
Great. And this was built around a Raspberry Pi. That's the Pi bit,
Yeah.
presumably, rather than Apple Pi. And so can you? And so is this a Raspberry Pi? These are skills you've got. Are you a Raspberry Pi enthusiast, or was this something that you picked up?
Yeah, I'm a Raspberry Pi enthusiast.
Right. So so what sort of things have you done with the doorbell thing? What was it with sensors and other things that you put into it?
Yeah, so it would detect your face when you came up to it. So it'll detect motion, which would activate the camera to take a picture of your face, which would then scan against a database of known faces using OpenCV. And then if you're a recognized face, it would then also prompt you to scan your ID tag so that it had two-factor authentication so that you could be sure that it was the right person.
Great. And what inspired that idea for you?
Yeah, so my great aunt Pat, she's got dementia and lives alone at home, and we'd noticed that she'd be letting in random strangers and just like cold callers. So I thought I can make the system to help her.
Great. And how long did it take you? What sort of time and effort did it require? Sounds amazing. I have to say, all the things you just said that's in it.
I think I spent about a year working on it.
Wow. And was that something that you were working on through school as well, or is it completely separate?
No, I was doing that alone at home.
Right. Great. And what's happened to the idea now? Where is it now? Have you moved on to another one, or is that still in development?
I've moved on to another one now.
Great. And which is what?
So I've been working on a full sensor for the elderly. Again, I was inspired by my great aunt Pat because she'd been falling and she forgot to press her emergency button. So I thought I could develop a system to help her so that she wouldn't even have to press a button.
Wow. And is that Raspberry Pi based?
Yeah.
Great. And what sort of stage is that at now? Is that is she got it in the house?
No, I'm looking at shrinking it down before I actually give it to her so it can be made as a bracelet, because at the moment it's fairly big.
Oh, I see. That's clever. So she could wear it the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. And what sorts of things would you sort of say about the Tech4Good Awards experience for you and the last couple of years?
Oh yeah, it was a really rewarding experience. I really enjoyed the speed networking and the chocolate fountain.
Okay, you get the first prize of winning for mentioning the chocolate fountain. So, have you tell you what you could do? You could invent a way of having chocolate fountain at an online event. That's what you really need to do next. We need to put you to work on the really difficult problems of our time.
Yeah.
And so, I've got a question here. Freddie, are you going to enter your project this year? Are you thinking of entering again?
Yes, I am.
Great. Well, look forward to seeing that entry. We'll come back to you in a minute to look to get your top tips for anybody listening and who thinks that they want to enter. And then final guest, Mahek, I believe you're there. Hiya. How are you doing?
I'm good.
How are you? I'm very good, thanks. Can you tell us about what your work is that was part of the Tech4Good Awards?
So my work, what I entered was that I started a charity to help children from low socioeconomic backgrounds in India learn how to code. So we provided a platform for them to learn. We provided the resources, and we reached out then to over 80,000 young people, and we kind of taught them how to code and kind of handheld them through the process. So
Great.
That's what I entered my projects for. I was highly commended, I think, in 2018. So I think it was a fabulous experience there, and all the people, all the advice, and all the guidance I got after that as well was tremendous.
Great. So let's go back. I can't quite hear you as clearly as the others. I don't know if there's a way you can turn the sound up slightly.
Okay. Should I just speak more loudly?
Probably. That would help. Thank you. So tell us a bit more about, because the actual program that you were working on and the way that the support that you were providing to people.
So the actual program was, so we used Scratch, which was quite easy for the children there to understand, as a lot of them didn't speak English. And we provided step-by-step resources in which they didn't need teachers, but they could self-study and self-learn. So we had these resources packed alongside with volunteers. So volunteers with a computing sort of background. So it helped, I mean, they were there more, not for the teaching, more to make sure that the computers worked in the first place. And it helped push the program to these kids as they learn how to code. And I think we've received a lot of submissions now with people who've then gone on to make projects within Scratch or learn the following language after that. And they've made projects and they're sending it to us, that this has been possible thanks to your help. And it's been great to see the results now as well, as much as I did then, but even more so now.
Yeah. So you mentioned a number of 80,000, I think. And that's an incredible reach. What was that through partnerships and other connections? I think that you really hit those big numbers.
Yeah, so we started off with a lot of pilot schools, reaching out to them and working individually with schools. We then decided that to have a bit of a better impact and to convince the people of India that this was a great idea for the students. We partnered with the government there, with the local government, to introduce this in the government schools, which are very, very lowly funded. And for them to have the resources to do this, it would have been very difficult, which is why it was fabulous with them and with their support to be able to push it out to all these young people there.
Right, great. That sounds fantastic. And in terms of where you are now, have you continued that work or have you moved on to other things?
So I have continued that work. I've ensured that everyone who is getting it in those schools the following years are still receiving the resources, they're still receiving the volunteers. So it makes it a bit more of a sustainable program. I'm also working now on a very exciting educational project, again, in the field of education, and to introduce so it's not focused purely on academics, but looking at the overall intelligence of children and pushing that. I'm working on that. It's been slightly delayed due to the current circumstances, but I hope that as soon as everything's right and running, we'll be running too.
And is there a particular connection for you in terms of what you choose to work on? I know you've worked on a lot of different things, and what is it that catches your eye? What is it that you think, oh, well, actually, that looks like a problem I might want to try and solve?
I think something that I particularly enjoyed is working with children. So working in education has definitely been something that I've wanted to do. Anything that has anything to do with technology is fabulous. So I really get involved, and I think I've just seen all these young people speak here today, and it's been fabulous to see them doing it as well. It's quite inspirational for myself. But anything with technology, anything that makes a difference in someone's life is something that I love to get my hands on.
Great, cool. And I think, are you at university now? I think when I saw you, you were about to go off to university. Have you started your degree?
So I finished my second year. I've got one more year left, and I should be a fresh graduate.
Right, great. Well, congratulations. Well, and if we can pull everybody in now, I think that's a good example of what we want to know. Really, is how do we fit all this in? Because we've got 4 of you doing amazing things here. Do you think that this is something that lots of your friends are doing? Is it something that's really common for young people to want to solve problems? Is this a way that young people actually trying to fix the world? What about you, Freddie? Do you think this is a trend? Young people trying to fix the world with technology?
I think quite a few people are starting to get into technology. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Atticus? You're a musician. I know you were talking about music. But what does it mean for you in terms of the Tech for Good Award stuff? What sort of problems do you think they could be solving out there that you see around you?
Well, I suppose I think that coronavirus and recent political events have, I think, made people in communities not trust each other and sort of pinned up against each other. And I believe that the real strength that we have with technology is that we can underline the truth and we can sort of bring people together because of our greater knowledge. So I think certainly educating people, I think making people more kind of aware of their surroundings and more mobile in terms of their actual lives through technology, I think. Great.
No, nice answer. And Mihika, you've got that idea working on the stick. Have you got other ideas brewing up? Have you got other things that you're working on? Can you tell us about any of them?
Well, there's one that's a green eye. It basically helps water plants and saves, it helps water plants and reduce pollution.
Great. And so let's look at the awards in general. And do you have any top tips for anybody out there thinking of entering? What would be what would be the one thing you would say to them to think about when they're filling in their form to put their name in the hat? Freddie, I think you had a good idea when we spoke the other day.
Yeah, so make it personal to you, because I find it way easier to get set on a project if you've got a personal reason to actually develop it. It really gives you the inspiration to do it.
Yeah, and you've all got that example there, I think. And what about you, Mahek? I know you've got a good example, I think, of partnership working, which I mentioned before. But when you were putting the application in or looking at what you were doing, what do you think stands out with your idea? What do you think it is that gets people's attention? You do similarly when you're applying for funding. I guess you have to think about the same sorts of things.
So I think one of the most important things I thought about applying was just go for it. So I remember hesitating a lot. I was like, should I do it? Is it, will I even get in? But I think definitely go for it if you're thinking about it, because I think it will teach you a lot. Something that I keep in mind when I was applying then, when I've applied for other things now, is really pushing out, like Freddie said, make it personal to you, but really bring out the passion into it and bring out the emotion. I think it makes your application come to life, and I think that's what really reaches out to the people, which is really, really important, because I think everyone does something for a good reason. It's just putting that into a good sentences.
No, I like that. Thank you. That's a good answer. So Ian, let's move on a bit, and BT has pledged to support the winners. Can you tell us a bit about the journey with Mihika last year? Because that was a bit of a learning curve for everybody in some senses, wasn't it? What's the best way to support them? What's on offer, and how will that play out for the winner?
Yeah, so I think it's something we introduced a couple of years ago, is kind of actually supporting our young pioneers more and what we can do at BT. And I think with Mihika, it's been a really good example of actually, until you know who the winner is and what their solution is, it's only then that you can actually work out what the support is that they need. So what we have on offer for this year's award winner will be up to £10,000 worth of funding, but that funding will be used as to what is most relevant for that particular project. So what was interesting in Mihika's case was actually, in terms of her prototype and the actual technology within the smart stick itself, that was actually, that was one of the reasons why it won. It was so good. It actually didn't potentially need that much more development. But what we did realize was actually, well, what is the potential for a smart stick? What would people be willing to pay? What are the actual real features they're looking for? So we reached out to the RNIB, the Royal National Institute for Blind, and basically worked in partnership with them to actually start to do some research on the potential of smart stick. And actually the research is still ongoing at the moment. So we've just been going through some surveys with people with sight loss. We're going to be going and doing some more actual user testing with the smart stick itself. And what it's doing is giving us the actual knowledge and the information we need to actually work out, okay, if we were going to make a smart stick a real thing, what people are going to pay, how's it going to work, what are the features we're really looking for. So I think that's an example where it's the research is the main requirement. Other winners may have needed support in more technology, more Raspberry Pi kits, etc. So we're really flexible in terms of what we'll use that 10K for. But what we also have in addition to that is within BT, obviously we have an extensive group of employees who have the ability and a lot of smart knowledge in things like app development and all sorts of different types of technology. So we also have the volunteering support of BT colleagues to actually help people to develop their ideas as well. So it is kind of, hopefully the objective is that we can really help whoever the winner is take their project or their idea on to the next level. And that's kind of the ambition that we have there.
Great. So I'm going to give you one more question each, a little bit of time to prepare. I just want to think about what you might be doing. We've had 10 years of Tech for Good Awards. What do you think we might be doing in 10 years' time? What do you think Tech is going to be doing, or maybe what you're going to be doing in 10 years' time? I'll start with you, Atticus. 10 years' time, where do you see Tech taking us? What do you think's on the horizon for us, or for you in particular?
I mean, I think Tech will be an even more instrumental part in our lives than it is now. I think that with the current pandemic and things like that, we'll see like our lives almost completely relying on it. And I think we need to make that a positive thing. And I think that what we'll find is that more and more people are involved in making apps and programming things like that as in their daily lives. And I suppose it becomes less stigmatized, becomes more open and more integral, I suppose.
Yeah. How about you, Mahek? You've got another year and then you're out into the big wide world. What does 10 years' time look like for you, do you think, in terms of work and technology and your own sort of interests?
So, personally, I think I'll be entering the world of investment banking, which looks interesting. I think in terms of tech, I think that it will become an even more integral part of our lives, and I think we'll become more and more dependent on it. And I think tech itself will become more and more independent with the rise of the Internet of Things, and 5G technology provided that the infrastructure pushes through. I know that UK is pulling down at the moment, but provided that it pushes through, and that there'll be a lot of new ideas, and I feel that everyone will be tech literate. I think that's something that we should also aim for. That there's all this technology, but people must know how to use it and how to use it for good. So I think that's where I see it in the next 10 years.
Great, thank you. How about you, Mihika? Where do you think your ideas are going to take you in the next 10 years? You've had 10 years so far. You're as old as the Tech for Good Awards. What do you think for the next 10 years? Any big ideas that you want to work on?
I'm not really sure.
No? How about you, Freddie? How do you think the next 10 years might shape up for technology?
Yeah, like they've said, I definitely think it'll be a more integral part of our lives, and that like quarantine has taught us how much we can rely on tech and all the things that we can do with it.
Yeah. So we'll get much more used to this type of communication, I think, won't we? Where this is the first year that we don't have any face-to-face events. Actually, the thing I think we may miss, this is starting to come through now, is how do you build those connections between people? The chocolate fountain is actually an amazing way to meet somebody and have a chat with them. And so you're still looking for something like that people can stand around, have a quick chat, have a listen into someone else's conversation and say, oh, by the way, I know a bit about that. I think we haven't quite worked that one out yet. I don't think Zoom calls and live streaming are quite the same thing, are they? So maybe somebody will come up with some technologies that create some of that same sort of human contact in a new way. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. As we said at the beginning, these are great stories about your ingenuity, your amazing hard work, about the way that you've taken a problem that you've seen, that you have some sort of personal connection to, and tried to put it right and use technology in a really positive and powerful way. And that's the whole point of the Tech for Good Awards. And you really are great ambassadors and examples of what we're trying to do. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for entering. Thank you for the quality of the work that you're doing. And, really good luck with all the stuff that you're working on now. Freddie, good luck if you're going to be putting your name in the hat again this year. We'll look forward to seeing that. I don't know if anyone else is, but certainly look forward to seeing you. And thank you, Ian. I mean, the support we get from BT is invaluable over the 10 years anyway. But I think in this category, you've done some great things in the last couple of years, really brought to life the stories of the young people, and the work that you've done with Mihika this year in terms of developing her idea, I think is fantastic. So a big thank you to BT for all of your support. So that's the end of this Tech for Good Live. We'll do another one next week, and the weeks after, focusing on different categories. But the main thing to say is that entries are open now. It's free to enter. Anybody under the age of 18 can enter this award, but anybody can enter any of the awards, the other awards. You could be a business or a charity or a school or an individual. There's plenty of information on our website, tech4goodawards.com/enter now. You'll find out all the details you need. And we'd love to see your entries, and we'd love to hear the great ideas that you have for how we can make the world a better place. So look forward to seeing that. You have until the 30th of June. So got 3 or 4 weeks to get your ideas together. And keep checking back into these live events, and you'll find out more about the application process, or just contact us directly and we'll give you whatever help you might want. Great. Thank you. And look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.